What's that, Katie? What's that we hear back? Is that the sound of fire?
Oh, thank God. I was so worried.
We are, we're back. We're back. We're all the way back. Shout out to eBay.
No technical difficulties. We're in the same room.
We're on a brand new laptop, and by brand new, I mean brand new to us. It is a completely refurbished. I found this thing that's got... So what the people at Riverside, which if you're watching on YouTube, you see the little logo right up there. They told me that the computer I had, the reason we were having technical difficulties is because the computer I was using had 2 core processors.
Only 2?
And we needed 8 core processors. So I kind of shopped around to figure out, I don't even know what the hell that means, but I kind of did some research, and, I've thanked the Lord for Google. Google told me that I could, basically I could get the, remember those commercials that Intel inside, right? Like one of those.
Yeah.
Remember those?
Yeah.
So I got this computer, and it's got the Intel Core i7 processor that's handling all of our podcasting needs beautifully.
Hey.
Shout out eBay.
Shout out eBay. At the end of the day, we just need this puppy just to get this podcast out, so I'm here for it.
Yeah, so shout out to the new laptop. Hopefully the camera is not too grainy. It's one of those things that as we're recording now, I don't know how good this camera actually will be until we watch it back. So
you look great, sweetie.
We'll see what happens. Thank you. I'm feeling great, looking great. 38. All right, a week into my 38th birthday.
How does that feel?
It's good, but I want to do something real quick.
Oh, of course you do.
Yeah, so you got me this awesome...
no, your mom got that for you.
Oh, Mom got this? Shout out, Barb. Appreciate it. Hold on. Thank you, Barbara. There she is. She got me this giant, it says happy birthday balloon here. It says, what does it say?
Aged to perfection.
Limited edition, aged to perfection. So I thought it would be fun to act like not a 38-year-old and suck some helium.
Because I'm this many years old.
Dude, I don't even care. Like, who doesn't love sucking some good helium? Boy, somebody could edit that real quick and make me sound real funny.
Jokes write themselves, folks.
Yep, here we go.
Oh,
Ready?
I'm so excited.
Ready? Here we go.
As he's...
Welcome to the Am I Doing It Right podcast. Woo!
As he pulls all the helium and he passes out on the podcast.
Dude, I might just pass out right. Oh, it's still there. Oh, okay, stop.
Okay, I think man, my voice still isn't all the way back. After one pull, I'm kind of feeling it already. Goodness gracious.
And that's what happens. 38.
All right, what should I say?
I don't know. It's like you want to make it worth your while. So you're like, what should I say? Because you only have a limited amount of that.
There's so much helium in this balloon.
There's a lot, and it's been around for a week. It's like, and it's that balloon is aged to not perfection.
It is. This balloon is that good stuff, that aged helium. It's like
fancy.
Okay, I'm done with that though. There we go.
I'm just scared.
Oh, hold on, that's on the light bulb.
Yeah, that's a bad idea. Let's not play that game.
House on fire. Can't have it.
Nope. Sure can't.
Okay, I'm just gonna put
Honey,
it
just put it in the corner.
in the corner.
Yeah, just let it. It'll
go.
eventually fall.
All right,
It'll
put
be
it back.
fine.
All right, sorry about that.
It's fine.
Here we go.
Everything's fine.
It is, and actually, I did want to kind of start that podcast out on that silly note because this actually is going to be a more serious episode. Still laughs, but something important to talk about. Because today, or the day this podcast is released, marks the beginning of, is it national, or is it, it doesn't matter. It's Infertility Awareness Week. And that's something that obviously hits close to you and I, because you and I went through that struggle. So I thought it would be cool to just kind of share our story, because as we know firsthand as people who went through it, if there is somebody, if you listening to this podcast are going through that right now, we understand that chances are you're not leaning on anybody. You're trying to fight that battle by yourself, because that is a story that when you're going through it, it sucks. It sucks to share that story. You don't want to talk about it with anybody because people unintentionally say the wrong thing. Like, oh, it's just
because they don't understand.
Right.
That's the hard
part. It's impossible to understand because there's nothing you can say.
Right. You feel like you're on an island. You're on an island with your significant other, your partner, the person you're going through this, and it's like you don't understand the ins and outs and actually how difficult and what the actual odds for just normal people in the wild to get pregnant. And it's, I always thought of it like, especially when we were going through it, the irony in it. It's like when you're younger, or you're you do everything not to get pregnant.
Right.
And then once you're finally ready, you found your person, you have a stable life, and you think, oh, I've been preventing it for all this time, only to come to find out that it's not that easy. And I mean, the fact of the matter is, I think it's like 1 in 8 people go through infertility struggles. And, you know, you and I, we waited, probably 5 years in North America until we wanted to get a house. We wanted to get settled before we really started, because I didn't want to have a baby in an apartment, mainly because I didn't want to have to lug that car seat up to a second flight of stairs.
Right. Like you would have had to do that. That's a good one.
But okay, well, it would have been a group effort. But yeah, what I'm saying is, you know, we waited to the right time. We were smart, only to be hit with this big old wall of saying, hey, between the two of you, you only have a 3% shot of this happening.
Yeah, so let's give you a timeline of how this all played. The best thing we can do is just share our story. But what's funny is, like Katie mentioned, we waited a long time. Like when Chandler was born, I was 36. You were 31. Okay, so that's a lot of people have kids a lot earlier than that. We waited till later in life, which was the right decision to us. But we probably decided 2 years before that we were ready, maybe even 3. And so, then at first it's all fun, right? It's like, okay, we're trying to get pregnant. Wahoo, here we go. And then after a couple, like maybe a month or 2, you're like, okay,
No, honey, it was like a full year before we're like, hold on, this isn't working.
Let me tell the story, because it was after a couple of months of us starting that process and trying that we're like, it's kind of weird that we're not pregnant yet. It's like, should we even ask a doctor about this? And then I think you went to a doctor, and the doctor said, well, you got to keep trying naturally for like a year before we even start recommending infertility options. So that's where I was going with that. We noticed after a couple of months that it wasn't there. And we're like, this is kind of dumb. Like, where do we need like time to track cycles better? And then if one of our doctors is listening, I'm sorry, but we waited 6 months. We did not wait a year. And we're saying, well, we've been trying. We lied and said we had been trying for a year because I don't know. I felt it. I felt it in my gut. I'm like, something's not right here.
Well, and though I think what the fact of the matter is I went in and I, like, after a couple months, like you said, and that's when I started like tracking the cycles. We got like one of those little monitors where you kind of have to pee on a stick essentially every single day.
Sure.
So it can measure your hormone levels, and my readings just weren't coming back, and when I went back in, my doctor's like, before she was like, start tracking your cycles, wait a year. Well, and then I went back and I showed her the readings. I'm like, let's do some more blood work. And come to find out, like I have PCOS. So it was, it was kind of like, we all knew that it wasn't going to happen the correct, like the natural way, I would say. So that's, I would say but it was a solid year before we finally went and saw a fertility doctor. It was a full year before we got the referral. So we just started raising red flags after 6 months, I would say. And when we went in, you go into that fertility doctor and it's terrifying.
It sucks. We went to an awesome place. Is it RRC? Is that what it is?
Reproductive Resource Center with Dr. Braybeck.
Yeah.
Who's wonderful.
Overland Park, right there off 435. You can see it not far from the convention center. So we took our first trip in there. That's a scary trip to take. But everyone, it's a scary appointment to set up. It's a scary trip to take. But once you do, and you start getting your first round of answers and your first round of, okay, this is what we can do, and a plan of action, you're so happy you went. So if you're going through this right now,
it's a way to get definitive answers of what's going on and what the chances are.
I guess what I was going to say is it's a scary process to start, but politely get over it and get started. And we say that from experience because we're so glad we did. So when you go to the reproductive place, they give you several options, right? We've got the IUI. And then you've got the more expensive option and help, the Petri dish.
Right. Well, and they also have essentially
what's that called?
Well, they have 3 options.
What's that
essentially called? IVF. So our 3 options were we try a medicated cycle, which didn't really have a high likelihood. We try IUI, which we had a better chance of, and then we do it. What it would have come to is that we would do 3 cycles of that before we would jump in the IVF.
Yeah,
We jumped straight into IUI because I was lucky enough to have pretty decent insurance that it covered a good chunk of it. But you go in there. I want to back up again. Going in there just to get all the testings done to get that definitive answer. I mean, that was the day that I found out about my PCOS, about how like my follicles, like I just wasn't releasing eggs essentially regularly, like a normal woman's body does. I had like 50 follicles on each side that were just cooking. Like literally, I don't know the best way. They were just kind of chilling, and they were way more than I should have had.
Yeah,
and
you had a carton that should hold a dozen eggs, and you had like 4 dozen in there.
Exactly. So I, understanding that, and then understanding the approach of what we needed to do to start to get pregnant, we did come to the decision, you got tested. I think there's a huge stigma around that too. Like, I think there's a huge stigma around all of this. Like, I hated feeling on an island, and I think that's good reason why we're talking about it. But you had to get tested as well. I mean, it takes both parties.
Yeah,
like you said. So we both got tested, understood what was going on, and the way the doctor explained, she goes, on naturally by yourself, you have a 3% chance of this happening. So that's when we decided to dive right into the IUI. Which, I mean, I'm glad we did, but that was a whole other, before we even got to that point, I had to go through additional testing, just to like additional imaging, just to rule out everything, to make sure that, my tubes were clear and everything, which that was an ordeal. Let's talk about that for a second. What are you going to say?
Nothing. I was going to suggest I feel like we're being a little too detailed in our storytelling. Not that it's like gross or anything. It's just that we are getting into some kind of boring details, and I want to stick to the meat of the story.
I get what you're saying.
Because you and I can ramble on for 5 hours about this. We got to make sure we don't do that. But,
you're not wrong. Well, let me just say this. So additionally, almost every woman has to go through this. What is it? It's basically it's a histiopinklegram, which is a dye test, which is the most uncomfortable thing outside of having a baby that you will ever do in your entire life. And basically just make sure that there's no blockages in your tube that would stop an egg from going. Well,
so do they got to go like,
they got
to go right up there? Yep. Okay.
Yep.
Ooh, okay.
It's awful. And it's painful. Like, you get done and a nurse picks you back up and she's like, oh, don't go too fast. You might pass out. And I'm like, hold on. I just went through this excruciating test. Luckily, everything was clear. It was all good. How you get results like that quick, like right in the moment. However, this test is so painful on women that they say, oh, hold on, don't pass out. I'm like, hold on, should I have been knocked out for this? Like, what? And you think that's just what blows my mind. Like,
yeah, you powered through it, though.
Oh,
hey, good job, Katie. Power through.
It was awful.
Right
it was
now.
awful. Anyway, continue.
Okay. So let's move on to, so that first option, forget that option. IUI and then IVF, right? Just to give you an idea, at least with your insurance that you had, thank God you had this insurance. So every time we wanted to attempt an IUI, it was like $50, right? What to do?
That was just the physical, but there was like the medication that wasn't covered on top of that. And we had to pay for all that.
Okay, give me a number.
Okay, I would say it was probably about $3,000 to $5,000 around.
Out of our pocket? Mm-hmm. You told me it was $50 a shot.
It was $50 like a shot for them to actually do the shot.
Where did we get that $3,000 to $5,000
the medication?
From?
That's how much.
No, where did we get that money from? The insurance didn't cover that? Mm-mm. Where did that come from?
Honey, it's paid for. Just don't ask questions.
Okay, thanks, Julie. I assume that's where it
No, that is not where it came from.
No, it's not? Okay, well, I won't worry about it then. But IVF, for those who've done even a little bit of research, know that the IVF costs about, $18,000 to try? So that's a significantly higher number. So we really needed IUI to work. So that's what it is. And oh my gosh. And then let's lighten it up a little bit with kind of some of the sillier part of the story. So obviously what they need to do is they need to get the part of me that they need to make the baby and then get it into you.
Well, yeah,
right?
because this was in the middle of COVID. Too.
Yeah.
We were in the middle of COVID, so you couldn't come with me to anything.
Well,
literally.
I got to go to the office one time
By
because
yourself.
they wanted me to go there to, provide a sample. And let me tell you, they lock you in this weird bathroom. It's like an industrial bathroom. And they're like, all right, get yourself riled up and get us a sample. And I'm like, Yeah, I'm about as in the mood as, I don't know, whatever, like -2 out of 10. That's how in the mood this room makes me. But you gotta do what you gotta do. So it was weird, but we got the mission accomplished and learned a little bit more about myself. And then I remember our first round of IUI failed. We didn't produce anything. Second round of IUI was successful.
It was.
We got our first, we got a pregnancy on our second round of IUI, which is pretty rare. Usually it takes a couple more rounds than that, but we got it. And so it was really exciting. And I'll let you take over here shortly, but we get our first ever positive pregnancy test. Holy cow. You talk about life-changing, super exciting. And at this point, we're already, I've shortened the story, but we're a year and a half into this process. And we finally get the note. We are pregnant. You must have peed on 12 sticks and all of them came back positive. There is no doubt that you're pregnant. Here we go. We're early on in the process and we have to wait. So usually in a normal pregnancy, people who aren't experiencing infertility, is it 12 or 16 or 20 weeks when you see an ultrasound for the first time?
No, you go in pretty early.
But it's I know it's at least 12. But for us, we went in at 8 weeks because, they needed to see it early and make sure everything.
Well, that's because you typically know earlier with things like this when you're pregnant because you're tracking.
Right. So we go in and it's 8 weeks and it's first ultrasound and I'm on FaceTime because we're in COVID. So I can't be there with you in person. So you're getting, the gel on the tummy and it's ultrasound
they
time.
Didn't go in the tummy.
Oh, okay. So it was a different ultrasound. Sorry about that. I only know okay. So anyway,
let's just say at a date with Wanda.
I got you. It's fine. So we
That's
go
not for
in
you.
and 8 weeks. Here we go, and we're all set to see the heartbeat for the first time.
And we're told that baby's too small. Come back next week.
They couldn't find a heartbeat.
Yes, but they just kept saying, they kept saying what they thought was essentially the fetal pull to what the baby was starting. It's like, nope, we just caught it super early. Baby's too small. Come back next week. Let's try again.
All right, so we come back at 9 weeks. All right, let's look at this heartbeat. No.
Okay.
That's actually not the button I meant to hit. I meant to hit.
Okay. Either way, I don't like either of them.
Well, I understand, but you know what? This story is damn sad to tell, so I need to liven it up a little bit. Otherwise, it's going to get way too crybaby in here.
Yeah,
so,
well, you know me. I probably will cry, but
yeah. So
it sucked.
We got basically they said you had the embryonic sac. The thing that where the baby is supposed to grow. There it is, but there was the good news. The silver lining is we didn't lose a life. Just life never formed. The embryonic sac that the baby was supposed to grow in was there, but life never formed inside of it. There was never a heartbeat. There was never anything. It was just this.
It's called a blighted ovum.
Okay.
And that's essentially
right.
what it's called. That's the medical term for it. And I mean, that's something that I never thought existed. Like, you don't think about that, right? You think you get that positive pregnancy test, you are pregnant. You're having a baby. But I mean, you were on FaceTime. It was heartbreaking.
That sucked. I was so mad at everybody who told me that I wasn't allowed to be there with you. Like to be on FaceTime with your wife when you find out that you're pregnant, but it's a failed pregnancy.
Yeah.
And I couldn't be there to just hold your hand even.
Yeah.
Like that. Dude. And we had hang up. Okay, babe, well, I got to go and I got to get dressed and I'll call you when I'm on the road back home. Like the fact that I couldn't be there next to you sucked. I mean, it makes you feel like a bad husband. Oh my gosh, I'm a bad husband. I'm going to be a bad dad. I'm sure you, when you get a blighted ovum, you're like, oh my gosh, my body doesn't want me to be a mom. And you go through all the things, it's.
Yeah. I mean, you see, here it comes.
I know you cry.
It feels like your body's failing you.
Like you feel like you're like a failure, like as a human being. Like the one thing that humans are naturally supposed to do is continue life and create the next generation. And it's like, why can't I do that? And then and let's get real talk here. You get really ticked off at, yeah, I don't care if this offends anybody or not, but you get mad at these crackheads who get knocked up 8 times and have 7 abortions, and you're like, and these people having kids who have no right to have kids. Can we Can we be real? There are people in this world who should not be parents who have 8 kids running around. They don't know where half of them are. Meanwhile, here we are in our home with our dogs, with a room picked out, and we know how we're going to decorate a nursery, but we can't have a kid like that. And by the way, that is an absolute just normal way to feel. If you're going through this and you feel that, you have every right to feel that way.
Oh yeah, it's the full range. Like,
whatever emotion you feel, you are allowed and you have the right to feel that way.
Well, and I felt doubly bad because within that same appointment, I also found out that I could not miscarry on my own either. Like I needed help with that as well.
Yeah, and let's dive into that. So you had to get they call it a DNC. It's the same surgery as as an abortion, but it's not. There was never life in there, so it's not like you're ending a life. But yeah, basically you're the embryo without life in it, but would have continued to grow. And before that surgery existed, and this happened to women, they would have to just let this growth grow in their belly. Heck, and you think about this, like this happened in the medieval times, right?
Yeah.
They would grow, your belly would grow all 9 months. You'd look like ever you're pregnant, and then you'd give birth to nothing.
That wouldn't have happened.
Oh, what happened?
It wouldn't have grown. It would have taken. It just would have
It
taken
would have
either
passed.
much more longer, or it just would have.
And it would have been bigger, right? Like
No, it really would. It would have stopped growing eventually.
Okay.
Like it wouldn't have gotten the full way.
Man, I misunderstood a lot of this when it happened. Go ahead. Yeah.
So yeah. So that sucked overall. And then, I mean, luckily, our story has a very happy ending, obviously.
Right. Well, don't jump all the way there yet.
Well, I know, but it sucked.
So yeah, we get told that the pregnancy is a failed pregnancy. There's no life in it. Then you have to schedule a surgery at the hospital to have the DNC performed so that your body can start the recovery process. And then from there, we're both ticked at the world. So it's like, well, we're probably not going to try this again for a little while because we
want to take a break.
Like that's enough for now.
Well, and I think it's like going back. It's like you already feel like a failure, and you tell your loved ones you're pregnant.
We told too many people too early.
Yeah, but you and I have very different opinions on this because it's again, I'm not going to suffer alone. Like obviously I have you, but like I have this exciting news. I'm going to share it. Like people are going to know when you're sad. Like I'm not afraid to, let people know what you're going through. When you go through this whole process, the amount of people that poke and prod you in your business, asking you a million questions, literally, when I say poke and prod.
Right.
You really become an open book. Like really, there's nothing that's off limits. So, you get something exciting, you finally want to share it. And I get it. Like it sucks telling people, but they would have known. They would have known otherwise. Like, why are you sad? If they know you're going through this journey. But, and again, like nobody just says the right thing. Like nobody understands, I think the older generation, like,
oh my gosh, people would say things like, it's going to be okay. And, just keep trying. And, you'll get through this. And then my favorite one is, well, being upset won't do anything, so you might as well be happy. Like, shut up. That's a horrible thing to say.
My other favorite one was, it'll happen when you just relax.
Yeah, it'll happen when what's meant to be will meant to be.
So, and I mean, it's anyway, it's just, it sucks all around. So.
And shout out to everyone who did try to pass on comforting things, like, because it's not their fault. They're trying to be helpful, but there's just nothing you can say. You just say, honestly, if someone is going through it and they lean on you, just say, I'm so sorry. If that person is mad, be mad with them. If they are sad, be sad with them. If they are mad, Lord, I'm sorry, but if they are mad at the Lord, be mad at the Lord with them. Like that's really all you can do, or just say nothing. Just be a shoulder to lean on is all you can do. So yeah, that really sucked. And then what's funny is we had like a little light at the end of the tunnel of happiness, because shortly after that, like a month or two after that, we had planned on taking a trip. We had a vacation lined up. We were headed to the we were headed to Punta Cana, the Dominican Republic, for a week. Is something that your mom had set up, this really nice like villa. Like it was going to be one of those big family trips where like you just rent a huge house with however many bedrooms, and it was going to be a week. I was going to play golf on like one of the top 10 golf courses in the world. Like, okay, boy, this couldn't come at a better time. If anybody needs to get out of the country and be drunk on a beach for a week, it is us, right? We
100%.
Deserve this.
We both got COVID.
2 days before we were scheduled. So your mom lives in Chicago. So what we were going to do is we were going to fly up early to Chicago and then all hop on the same flight from Chicago down to the Dominican. 2 days before our travel day, we get hit with positive COVID tests. COVID runs rampant through the house.
And this was still like in the middle, the heat of COVID. And we were supposed to go over Thanksgiving. So to give you reference, like we went.
So yeah, this would have been, no, it was early December. It was the first week of December.
No, honey, it
of
was
2021.
It was over Thanksgiving because remember we got Thanksgiving dinner ordered because you got it first and then I got it and I couldn't even taste Thanksgiving.
Oh, that's right. Because it was the Sunday after Thanksgiving. We were going to fly up.
Yep.
And then okay. So yeah. And then that vacation was like end of November into early December. So,
that's what we think anyway. Neither here nor there. We kind of took a break from the IUI and all that good stuff. We were just like, let's get I wanted to get off all of the hormones because
yeah, you were on a lot of medicine.
I was on a lot of medicine. I was taking shots. I was doing literally everything under the sun.
Not like Lil Jon shots.
No, not those good shots.
John.
So I was like, let's just take a break. We both got sick. Fast forward, we made it through the holidays. And TMI, through this whole time from when I had to get the DNC to January, mid, it would have been
about a 6-week span.
Yeah. I never got a period. So that happened in October. Like the DNC happened in October. Through all the holidays, so more than 6 weeks actually.
I'm sorry, I like 3 months.
I was like, my body hasn't reset itself. I never ever got a period.
Because they said it would take 8 weeks maybe to reset itself.
It just for more, and I don't remember how long it said it would take just for my hormones to kind of come back. And and in between this time, I had actually gotten a new job at Sporting. So I called my doctor and I said, hey, guess what? Mama's employed. I still got my old insurance until this month. I want to reset my body because I want to start kind of getting the process rolling, and they can give you a pill, basically, essentially make you get your period.
Right.
Took one round of it. Nothing happened. Before that, she did tell me to take a pregnancy test. Came back negative because you have to take a pregnancy test before you do it. And I'm like,
of course.
She told me, she goes, you got to take another pregnancy test before it prescribes. I'm like, we both know I'm not pregnant. I haven't had a period. Comes back. And I go get ready to go before she prescribes. I go take a test. And it is a blaring positive. Like they call it a dye stealer. So, and I think it's also worth mentioning, we've gone up to Chicago for the holidays. Like after the fact, I think it was for around New Year's or things. And I just felt weird. And I felt the same way I did when I had my blighted ovum. I was like, I feel like I'm pregnant. I might be. We drove up there. I'm like, no, there's no way. We took a test and we thought we saw a faint line, but then I took a test the next day and it was negative. Right. So that test lied. But fast forward, this is early February. I have a dye stealer is what they call it. And that's when the test line is taking dye from the control line. So it is a dark pink. And at this point, I was like freaking out. I'm calling you. I'm calling my mom. I'm like, this is impossible. I'm thinking they missed something. Something's going on. I call my doctor. And well, actually, no, let me back up. I finally got a hold of somebody and you didn't answer. So my mom knew first because you didn't answer. And I FaceTime her. I was like freaking out. I'm cursing. She's in the office. She goes, Katie, stop cursing. What is wrong? Are you okay? And I'm like, I couldn't even form a full sentence, and I just hold the test up, and she's like, the look on her face is like, and her mind is racing too, and she's just like, oh my God. And she goes, could this be a good thing? I was like, Mom, I don't know what's going on. And I told her what happened, and she's like, you need to call your doctor. And finally get a hold of you before I call my doctor. I was supposed to come in like the next day to get blood tests, but I called you and I only have one test. And I'm like, I'm not even going to make this special, but I need you to stop at Walgreens and get more tests, like 4 more boxes.
Oh, yeah. I was like, I will bring home 1 more box that has like 3 tests and 4.
No, you brought home 2 more boxes.
Okay,
we
whatever.
Compromised.
The point is, I did not need to bring home 4 more boxes.
So, yeah, and each test, each test. Blaring positive. We even got the digital ones, pregnant, positive. Mm-hmm. So I start calling my doctor, and my doctor's like, hold on, are you 5 months pregnant? And I'm like, no, you need to tell me how pregnant I am, because I literally have no idea. I couldn't tell you when my last period was. This is what happened. And she gets me in, and I was like, essentially 10 weeks.
Yeah. So let's back up. Let me jump in here real quick and just jump in on the timing of it, because I think this is a hilarious part of the story.
Yep.
And our parents know this part of the story already, so it's not awkward if they're listening because they understand the timing of it. But turns out, I guess we were really bored during that week that we were supposed to be in the Dominican Republic, and we ended up not going. We were both just at home for a week and doing what we do to pass the time, right?
I mean, that's where the timing pans out, yeah.
Yeah, it happened au naturel when we were just at home bored instead of on the beach in the Dominican. Tell me that's not a sign from the heavens. That is the perfect story ever.
You're not wrong. I think it was, we just really caught the right time, honestly, the timing for that, right? And I mean, I think the even funnier part of it is then I have like an oh shit moment. I'm starting a new job for a men's sports team.
Let's talk about that real quick.
Literally, because I mean, this is literally not even a full 24 hours after I signed the paperwork saying that I'm coming to work for Sporting.
The timing on this was perfect. It was a Monday night, and you said, hey, babe, I got the contract from Sporting KC to start employment there. Sign, email back. It was 12 hours later, Tuesday morning, when you called me panicked with a positive pregnancy test. 12 hours after you started your employment with Sporting KC, you found out you were knocked up. Hilarious story.
And we had even talked. Like, I'm like, I want to be at Sporting for a full year before we have a baby. I mean, whether that means we start trying again in 6 months, like I want to get this job under my belt. Yeah, no, that's not how it worked out.
Yeah. If you want to make God laugh.
Tell him your plans. And that's what we did. So it was, I had a great team there, very supporting. They, laughed with me when I had to go to the hospital a time or two because I thought I was, in labor, but it wasn't. So.
Oh, I just had another thought, another part of the story, and I forgot what I was just going to say. Darn it, I hate it when that happens. Ooh, I'm going to think of it.
So, I mean, I think the moral of the story, sorry.
Yeah, okay, sorry, I just remembered. So, at this point, okay, wow, we've got these dark red lines on all these pregnancy tests. Holy cow, is this really happening? We get to a key point. Do you remember in our first story when we told you about when we got to 8 weeks, we had to go get that first ultrasound where they said the baby was too small, but really there was no baby, there was no heartbeat.
Yep.
So imagine the paralyzing fear that I'm sure, I mean, I know I was feeling, I'm sure you were feeling as well, of we hit that 8 week mark and it comes time for us to go back to the RRC in Overland Park to get that first ultrasound, because we had to kind of fill them in on everything, and we're like, oh, here we go. So here we go. We were sitting there, and it's still COVID protocol. I'm still not allowed. So you call me on FaceTime, and man, that was the longest 15 minutes of our lives, of just waiting for you to get prepped and then for them to start waving the wand and what you did.
Well, this is what how the timeline landed on that is like found out I am, and I called RRC just because that's who I've been working with, and they're like, okay, we'll get you in for a blood test. That's no big deal versus my general doctor. And they get me in for the blood test. We find out kind of where my levels are so they could kind of gauge how far along I was at. And I'm like, okay, next step, come in tomorrow for an ultrasound. And you're not wrong. It was the longest 15 minutes because you couldn't be with me. I'm in there, and I'm in the same exact room where we found out, like, there was nothing there.
Right.
And I started crying then because I was like,
yeah, no, I was.
This can't happen again.
I was so, and you know what? I had a very pessimistic opportunity, and I didn't do it on. Actually, I did. I purposely kept my hopes low.
Right.
I'm in my head breaking my own heart by telling myself it's probably not going to be there. It's probably not going to be there because I didn't want to get my hopes up. I'd rather have my hopes down. We can get bad news. And they, so your old friend Wanda did what Wanda does, and well, son of a gun.
I know. I just vividly remember.
I remember because you saw the embryonic sac again. You saw that black circle, right?
But there was a little bean in there.
And then in the middle of that circle is just that little white dot, and we're like, and I'm like, and I went, oh, there's a dot. What's that dot?
Yeah. Well, it was that.
What was that dot, Kate?
Exactly. And because I remember seeing it, and I was like, okay. And I just remember closing my eyes when she said she was going to do the heartbeat, because I was like, really just preparing myself the same way. And then I heard Chandler's strong little heartbeat.
And I just like I started crying tears of joy, and it was like the weight that was lifted off my chest at that point was just.
Hey, that was a cool moment.
It was.
That was awesome.
So.
We're pregnant!
Yeah, and that's when, and then I go to the doctor, and she's like, "Yep, you are." And I had pretty regular ultrasounds after that.
But it was all good. Your pregnancy, I mean, pregnancy's hard.
I hate it being pregnant.
No, yeah, I think the first and third trimesters, you didn't enjoy that process at all. But also, I like as far as like her growth and everything, it was she had no complications. And obviously we kept a close eye on it, but it was super smooth. We had no issues throughout the whole pregnancy, which I was not expecting. And I'm so fired up.
I remember I was just uncomfortable.
I remember asking the doctor after the failed pregnancy. I said, "Hey, like I was like, can I ask you this? This is right after we found out, so we're just in the dumps." And I'm like, does this, I use bad language. I said, does this F up our chances even more? And I remember the doctor saying, she's like, I don't want to get your hopes up or anything, but we have seen it to where sometimes when people who can't get pregnant, they get pregnant at first, it fails, but it almost kind of like kickstarts your body. Like, oh, okay, like let's open these tubes up and let's get you pregnant. And that's exactly what happened. That is exactly what happened with us. That failed pregnancy got everything churning, and then we ended up getting pregnant the natural way, which is crazy. That's crazy.
Like I said, I mean, but we weren't tracking anything. Like again, I am super grateful about how our story, pans out, and I'm well aware there are so many people who have gone through so many, like I don't want to say it, like just have it so much more worse than us, and I think
our story was so difficult. But in the long run of people going through infertility, our story is one of the easiest, most successful ones ever.
100%. And we're so lucky. We are so grateful, and we fully recognize that. But, I think it still puts that fear because, you and I have talked about like, okay, do we want to do this again? Like, what are the lengths that we're willing to go through to have another baby again? Because.
No, not that.
I mean.
I'll be honest with you. We've talked about, giving Chandler a sibling, and that's something that we can certainly just try to do naturally, but I ain't doing all that again. It's either meant to be or it's not meant to be. I'm sorry. I think you feel the same way. Like that's.
I go back and forth on it, sure. Because I understand the science behind it, because when you want something so bad, you will go through any length to do it. Mm-hmm. But it's just, it's obviously weighing, the toll it takes on you mentally and emotionally, and I don't ever want something like that to take away my ability to be Chandler's mom. Mm-hmm. Mentally or emotionally. I think it's just hard. I think we have to talk more about it, but.
Yeah. We had some other content to get to today, but we've got a full episode right there. I think this is just so hey, yeah, so if you're listening, obviously, within a couple days of this release date, April 21st through 27th it's Infertility Awareness Week. So if you know somebody who's going through it privately, continue to be their rock. Good job. I think one of the things a lot of people have gotten a lot better at is knocking off and I hadn't thought about it either until we went through it, but not making the April Fool's prank about we're pregnant, April Fools. Like I think people in recent years, a lot more people with talk about infertility have realized like, okay, we can't do that, and or you got the right to do whatever you want, but knowing how many people go through this, it's probably best to not do that. I think people have gotten a lot once people became aware of that. People were like, all right, let's knock off doing that. And so shout out to society for getting a lot better at that.
Yeah.
And shout out Chandler for being born and being healthy. And God, she's still some tantrums right now, man.
Well, she's in the face.
I took some veggie straws away from her the other day. Cool.
I took a baby doll to the face yesterday.
Yeah, she threw one right at your face today, too.
She sure did. We're doing great.
Yeah, but here's the scary part, man. She's a genius.
She is a genius.
She is... So she's 19 months old, just over a year and a half. She knows colors. She knows I don't know if she knows how to count, but she's memorized 1 through 5. I don't know if she knows what that is. She'll just go 1, 2, But I don't know if she knows what she's saying or like that she's counting.
I think she doesn't. She just hasn't memorized.
But she just knows like that 2 comes after 1 and 3 comes after 2. And then we found out yesterday or last week that she knows shapes.
I know. I just she's learning at lightning speed and it's awesome to watch. But I just can't.
Terrifying because we're dumb.
Then the last thing I'll say is that I know this weekend on Saturday there is a.
What's the date on that?
Has to be the 26th or
26th.
27th.
Okay.
Whatever Saturday of this week
Saturday
is.
the 26th. And if we're one day off, sorry, but it's whatever that day that
Saturday
is.
the 27th is what it is.
Okay.
So Saturday the 27th, there is a infertility conference here in Kansas City. I know our good friend Jenny Matthews is actually the keynote speaker.
Let's go, Jenny! Let's go!
I will say, unfortunately, I was going to go, but I can't go anymore.
Oh, no. Work stuff?
No, I gotta go to bridal shower.
Oh, fair enough. Is this Jordan?
Yeah.
Nice.
So I have to go to a bridal shower.
Are you going out of town?
It's in Jeff, yeah.
Oh,
but I'm coming back.
That's good. Thanks for coming back. You got a daughter to raise.
I know. Well, I'm bringing her with me, so.
Oh, so I get a free day?
It's on a Saturday, so you'll be working.
Oh, okay. That's fair.
So, anyway, what I'm trying to get at is I have a ticket. I can't go anymore. If somebody who is listening would like to go, just shoot me a DM on Instagram.
Our social media page is Am I Doing It Right Pod across all social platforms. Yep. First message we see on any of those platforms with you, like, hey, I'll take your ticket. We'll send it over to you.
Yeah, I would love to give to somebody, and I hope it would help somebody get through.
Shoot us a message with your email address, because I assume that's how you would get it to them. You just email it to them.
I guess, yeah. I'll figure it out. Just shoot me a DM, and we'll figure out the logistics. Okay. But and I think also, like, on that note, anytime anybody wants to talk, we're shoot us a DM. You're not on an island. We're open. I'm an open book. Yeah. I will tell you almost everything.
I remember we did end up telling we wanted to ultimately surprise our parents with the pregnancy announcement, but it went on a little too long to the point where, our parents were never pushy about us having kids, but we certainly were not. We were aware enough to know that obviously they were like, oh, God, we're really excited to meet a grandbaby. Like, come on. Like, we're not going to pressure you, but we're really excited when you're ready. And so we got to the point where we had to tell them, if you are going through this and you don't want to tell your parents because you don't want to burden them with the heartbreak, and also you want to provide that surprise, but my God, you need to talk to somebody for real, shoot us a DM, the Am I Doing It Right pod across all social platforms. We can be there with you and share in your emotions and share our experiences, and we'll never tell you how to feel. We'll never tell you it's going to be okay. We'll never tell you, because that's not the crap you need to hear. No. You just need someone to be mad with you, be sad with you. That's what we needed. And I'll give a bonus shout out to, we've shared this story before when I was on the radio, but like that's what Jenny did for us. Yeah. Before we told our parents about it, we just wanted to surprise them with a pregnancy. We realized we're having infertility issues. Jenny's been a super open book about it, and she was our rock. She was the one who had gone through it herself, so she understood and she knew exactly what we were feeling and knew exactly what to say, even if there was nothing to say. Then she knew not to say anything and just let us be mad and go through the emotions that you have to go through, man. That's a wonderful. I miss hanging out with her for 4 hours a day. I'll tell you that, man. That's a cool human right there. And I'm glad she was there for us.
Yeah. And the last thing I'll say is, if you know somebody who is going through all this, whether it's a miscarriage, like particularly in a miscarriage, this is the one thing that somebody told me when we found out like that we weren't having a baby. I still felt like there was a baby in there, but there wasn't, obviously. But somebody said this to me, and they said that baby that was there to me knew nothing but your love and had the happiest life because of it.
There you go. Nope. This is perfect. This is if you're listening on audio, we apologize for the silence, but this is a good. It's a moment, and it's a good moment.
But honestly, that was the best thing that anybody could have told me, because that was the only thing that made me feel better. Is that, like, from that second, like, I knew, I'm like, okay, I thought I was gonna be okay, and that that we were eventually going to make it through it. And honestly, ultimately, I felt like that made me a good parent already, even though my body was failing me. My heart and my love wasn't failing me. So, can we end now? I'm done. I'm done crying.
I know you are. But you know what? A lot of people listening right now really appreciate you being that open and sharing and opening up those emotions like that. You're a crybaby. You always have. You get it from your dad. But
I need to go to the grocery store now. This is great.
you're going to go on an Aldi run after the most emotional conversation.
It's fine, guys. Just
we may
here
not,
if you want to talk.
We am I doing it right? We're getting better every week. We'll talk to you next week.
Okay, bye.